Welcome to the Press Box.
What's going on? So, today, doing a new segment, or series kind of, but we are doing fantasy football, my top 10s, my two, I'm always going to have two sleepers, regardless. I'm going to have two sleepers, then I'm going to have my draft at your own risk, the DAYORs. You can take your chances on them. I wouldn't, but then I have my don't forget UQ quarterbacks. Like, don't forget. I mean, you can still draft them and they'll still be good starters. So, in a minute, we'll move on to the board. But I got everything written down right here, ready to go. So, but first, make sure if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe, turn on the bell so you'll know when I upload next. But I need you to share on Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Just so I can get out there. So, help a dude out. But other than that, we'll get to it. Alright, we're at the board. Now, you see how everything's set up. My top 20, my top 10 2020 quarterbacks for fantasy football. For fantasy football. Then we got the don't forget about your QBs. Like I said, these are going to be the guys that are still, startable or as a backup. Oh, that looks strange. Then we have the DAYORs, draft at your own risks. I came up with that thing. Then we got the two sleepers. So, we'll start out at the top 20. Got the top 10s. Now, first, we have that boy, that man. Baker Mayfield, new head coach, offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings last year. Helped Kirk Cousins out, so I expect Baker to get a little bit of help here. I'm not going to give a rundown of every quarterback, but that's one thing I got to say on Baker. Coming in at number 9. Number 9. May seem a little low to some, but I think it's perfect. Bringing in Tom Brady. New move. You'll have Gronk back. You'll have, was it Chris Godwin? Then you'd have Mike Evans. But we'll put Tom Brady. You got to have Tom Brady in top 10 this year for sure. So I put him at number 9. Number 8. Number 8 is the cheesehead himself, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is going to have Devontae Adams, arguably top 10 wide receiver in the league. So, nothing wrong with that. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the number 8. Anybody over here other than... this is kind of hard for me, but anybody in the top 10 to 6, it's kind of, they'll flip-flop everywhere. But my top 5, I got it. I think it's pretty consistent. Then coming in at number 7, the sophomore QB, former Heisman winner, former number 1 pick from the University of Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, getting his new threat on offense with DeAndre Hopkins, which is going to be so much fun to watch. So I'm kind of glad he's got a receiver like that down in Arizona. Then the number 6, Drew Brees. Drew Brees, he can sneak in at number 5, or he'll sneak down to number 7. But 6 and 7 were kind of a hard spot for me, just in general. And number 5 was pretty hard for me too, just because you can flip flop these two as well. But coming in at number 5, you got always a top 10. He's always a top 10 quarterback each year for fantasy football. And speaking on that, we have two of my quarterbacks. Because I'm in an 8-man league, you know, I can't really find anybody that would go up to like a 12 or anything like that. So, but these are my two quarterbacks, Baker and I did have them last year, and I won my league once again. That'd be, I believe, 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row I've won my fantasy football league. But at number 4, y'all may give me some crap for it, but just don't forget who he has as his wide receivers. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper. Sticking him at number 4 this year. That's if, you know, things stay on track. Number 3. Some of you may not agree with me on this, but I think you're still getting the same quarterback with or without DeAndre Hopkins. But Deshaun Watson coming in at number 3 for sure. I think you all know who my number 2 is for sure. Your Madden cover athlete this year, Lamar Jackson. Now number 1, Ryan Tannehill. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. It's Patrick Mahomes. 100% Patrick Mahomes, not Ryan Tannehill. I'm just playing with y'all. But, so that's who we got in our top 10 right now. Our 1 through 5 over here on the don't forget about the cute quarterbacks. That's basically like your 11 through at like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 type thing, you know. So we'll do those right now. 100% do those right now. So let me slip over right here. And coming in at number 11, but no. We're going to start from number 15. Number 15, we got old boy Jimmy G. So this is kind of a tough one for me, adding him all the way down there. But with that being said, I mean, he did go to the Super Bowl last year, yes, 100%. But he excels in making pre-snap reads, which is what you ask from a quarterback. But he lacks the level of to throw balls in the little gaps that he needs to get. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. You know, he just doesn't have that zip yet. Can he excel this season? Yes, I believe so. But in no means am I saying Jimmy G is bad. I mean, we're looking at my top 15 right now, and he's landing at number 15. So keep in mind, there's a lot more teams than just that. I mean, we got a quarterback for each team right here. So right here, y'all are all right. So Jimmy G at number 15. Coming in at number 14. Now, don't hate me on this one. Do not hate me on this one. Josh Allen. Josh Allen for sure. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, getting a good, offensive line, got a good defense. That's promising for a quarterback right here. And so that's where I'm putting Josh Allen in all of this, is number 14. He may jump up into being a top 10 quarterback. I mean, you got Baker and you got Tom Brady for sure. They could drop out. But Josh Allen is not a bad quarterback to have on your bench or starting in a 12-man league type thing. Next. Now this one kind of controversial because of the next two picks. Matt Ryan. He does put up some good points each year, but for me, I had him, I think, 2 years ago, but I really didn't start him unless it was a bye week because I did have Russell Wilson. Now, having Matt Ryan in a, 12 to 15 man league, 12 to 14 man league, would be a great starting quarterback to have. As well as Julio Jones, Julio Jones, one of the top 3 best wide receivers in the league this coming year and last year and year before that. But after that, number 2, hear me out here. I might have just spelled his name wrong. Did I spell Ryan Tannehill's name wrong? I did. I only added one N. My bad. Ryan Tannehill at number 2. You can easily flip-flop these next 2. These 3 that I have right here, you can easily flip-flop. But like I said, you can flip-flop any of these if you want. But the reason why I have Ryan Tannehill, he's got a good to mediocre, all right wide receiving core, but you got to forget who's also behind center, and that's Derrick Henry, and he produces big plays, is what I'm trying to say. So he would not be a bad quarterback to have on your bench or starting. Next, he puts up big numbers each year when healthy. Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford for sure. You can't go wrong with Stafford in this list. On just regular per reception type thing. You can't go wrong either way. So, that being said, there is your players that I would not forget about. Well, quarterbacks I would not forget about if you already either have drafted a quarterback or if you're looking for a quarterback in the later rounds. That's who I'd be looking for. I'm going to do my 2 sleepers. Now, hear me out here on these. I do have some things written down on them. And coming in at number 1, well, we'll go number 2 as a sleeper. Starting out at number 2 for the sleeper. Put it all big right here. Y'all see it? Drew Lock. Good thing about Drew Lock is the Broncos traded up in the 2019 draft to select Drew Lock. Now, we all know Elway has not had his fair share in drafting quarterbacks, but right here, I think he's got his quarterback for the future. For sure. I think he's finally got his pick. Now, Drew Lock last season started only 5 games, but did some damage. He did some damage in those 5 games. 1,020 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, threw 3 interceptions. Rushed for 72 yards, but didn't get a rushing touchdown or anything like that. Now, Locke will have a great chance to thrive under Coach Schumer. Was as we know, the Giants head coach last year, I believe. But in 2017, he had the most effective passing games for the Minnesota Vikings. He had one of the most effective passing game. So coming in as an offensive coordinator, Schumer is going to be a great coach for Drew Lock this year and for the near future. Coming at number 1 in my sleeper, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is my number 1 sleeper this year. Now, Young Daniel Jones played 13 of 16 games last season, replacing Eli Manning. In those 13 starts, he had 3,027 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 279 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, making a total of 3,306 yards and 26 total touchdowns. Yards in the air, by the way. Now, expect new offensive coordinator Jason Garrett to be successfully get Daniel Jones where he needs to be. Sophomore season as the New York Giants starting quarterback. I think bringing in a man like Jason Garrett, he's a great offensive coordinator. Head coach, not so good, but being an offensive coordinator and being able to help Daniel Jones in a sophomore season, I don't think you can ask any more than that. So, moving on to the draft at your own risk group. Now, this is going to be a little fun. Now, these aren't in any, certain order or anything, but number 6, I'm obviously going to be putting, you're going to see a lot of these. You're probably already thinking of it. Carson Wentz, had a healthy season last year, but at the same time, you never know with these guys. You never know. So draft Carson Wentz at your own risk. Ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 5 in no, certain order. A new quarterback. New quarterback in a new setting this year. Phillip Rivers threw 20 interceptions and 23 touchdowns. Not very pretty. So draft Phillip Rivers at your own risk. Being a Colt now, moving on from the Los Angeles Chargers now. Coming at number 4, I think we all can agree on this one. Big Ben Roethlisberger. After the injury last year, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, you know what I'm saying. Draft Big Ben at your own risk, but if you're going to be drafting Big Ben, you might want to think about drafting one of these guys that I put up here. That's all I got to say on that. Coming in at number 3, now, not necessarily saying Sam Darnold's a bad quarterback or anything. It's just, losing Robbie Anderson. Not sure what he got at wide receiver. I don't know if they brought in anybody or drafted anybody. I haven't looked on it yet. But just taking the Jets. Take your chance on drafting Sam Darnold. You can or you can't. It's a kind of a gut, draft pick. So, draft at your own risk on Sam Darnold. Number 2. Jared Goff. Had one of the worst seasons since his rookie year last year. Losing Brandon Cooks I think he went to the Texans. Cooks is hurt, by the way, this year. I think he is out for the season. But losing Todd Gurley, Sean McVay is a great head coach. He's a very great offensive minded, but whenever you have a quarterback like Jared Goff, who's either good or he's bad, we don't know. We got to have someone consistent. Now, not saying that quarterbacks are consistent all the time, but there are things called, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees, those guys that you hear more about their success than you do, their mess-ups. So, there's my number 2. Number 1, draft at your own risk. Quarterback. I think everybody knows, and I will split this in half with 3 players, but my number 1 spot on this, which, is a for sure starter, is Joe Burrow. Now, you don't know if you're getting AJ Green back, and if you do, it's going to stay healthy all year for Joe Burrow. But you do have arguably one of the best receiving backs in the league with Joe Mixon, former Sooner. I think he's going on 4 years now in the NFL. So basically his senior year in the NFL. But you can't rely just on AJ Green. You know, losing Tyler Eifert, which I believe they lost him this offseason, you know. I mean, you got to replace Andy Dalton. You know, we know Andy Dalton wasn't that pretty, but he was a good quarterback for the Bengals, you know. So, Joe Burrow is a guy that you can draft at your own risk, for sure. For sure. Not saying that these guys are going to be bad to draft, but you can see that I didn't add Gardner Minshew or, you know, guys like that. Which, I mean, you could take my word on it, or you don't have to. Like guys like Gardner Minshew, Jarrett Stidham, Dwayne Haskins, you know, Derek Carr, Ryan Fitzpatrick, guys like that. And those are guys that you need to stay away from unless, you know, both your quarterbacks get hurt, for sure. So, other than that, there is my 2020 top 10 quarterbacks for fantasy football. My 2020 top picks for fantasy football. Don't forget that. You know, these are my opinion. And then we got the quarterbacks you don't want to forget about, and the quarterbacks you can take your chances on. But if you want to kind of find the diamond in the rough, definitely draft Daniel Jones or Drew Lock as a backup quarterback or a third quarterback. I don't know many people that'll keep a third quarterback on their roster, but if you are either looking for a backup or a third spot, look at Drew Lock and Daniel Jones. So, other than that, we'll bring it back to the chair over here just really quick. So, see there, y'all got my 2020 top 10 quarterbacks. Don't draft quarterbacks. Well, don't draft at your own risk quarterbacks. And don't forget about drafting these certain quarterbacks. And you got your sleeper. Now, I should have done quarterbacks you shouldn't draft, but I'll tell you right now on who I would not draft. And coming in at number 5, cutting it with number 5, you got Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. I would not take any chances on them unless your quarterbacks that I put up here are hurt, or one of the quarterbacks that you drafted at your own risk, you drafted and it got hurt. I would not take any chances on. Now, I'm talking about guys that are going to be starting. I'm not talking about like Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston, who's going to be a backup to Drew Brees. I'm not talking about anything like that. But another guy I would not take my chances on, which I would split it with this too, is Tua Tagovailoa and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Tua, we don't really know. I mean, is he going to be back this year? Is he not? But then Ryan Fitzpatrick, he'll show up one game, be missing for the next 2 games, show up again, be missing for the next 3 games, stuff like that. So those are 2 guys I would not draft just yet. Well, Tua I would not draft just yet. Coming in at number 3 on that list is Dwayne Haskins. I would absolutely not mess around with Dwayne Haskins this year. Just stay away from him. Another quarterback that I think is going to be starting this year and versus these starters, Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. Herbert, we just need to see what he's going to do. My opinion may change. I think Tyrod Taylor's in the situation of, you know, what happened with Baker Mayfield. I think Tyrod's going to be starting for a little while. Don't draft him. Hear me out on that. Then Herbert, we're either going to have like a, you know, really good rookie year replacing Tyrod, or it'll be a mediocre type thing. So take your chances on that. Then coming at number 1 on this list, I would not take my chances on Jarrett Stidham or Brian Hoyer. Okay? We know about Brian Hoyer, but is he a fantasy quarterback to have? There's better quarterbacks out there, you know. There are better quarterbacks out there. Stidham, if I'm a betting man, I would say no. So, other than that, that's a wrap on the new series that I'm going to be doing. Is going to be the, fantasy football, top 10s, all that stuff. So, these are my opinions right here. Like I said, I'm coming in, I'm going for a 6P right now. I'm looking for a 6P, going on 5 years of winning. And I'm going on to 6 right now, coming in first place. So, that's just me right there. I did draft Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield this year. Originally, I drafted Kyler, and then I drafted Josh Allen, but I traded Josh Allen for Baker Mayfield. Just got to keep that good juju. Got to have that Sooner magic on the fantasy football team. So, but speaking on that, this would be my 3rd year with Baker Mayfield on my fantasy football team. So, like I said, watch out for the 2 sleepers this year, Daniel Jones and Drew Lock. And other than that, thank you for watching my video. Like I said, like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. For sure, subscribe. Tell everybody, hey, if you want some fantasy football tips on who to draft for the 2020 season, come right here and watch my video, for sure. And if you got any questions, if y'all have anything to say, questions-wise, let me know. I'll answer them in the next video, stuff like that. So, that being said, that's a wrap. So, I'll see y'all in the next video. Also, before I go, I want to let y'all know that once we hit 1,000 subscribers, hear me, 1,000, I'm going to be giving away this Derrick Henry, it's backwards, it's going to be backwards, but this Derrick Henry away Tennessee Titan jersey, and it is authenticated 100%. Y'all can go on Leaf Authentics, type in the code 128162, and there is a sticker for Derrick Henry and his company that does autograph signings on here. So, but here it is. See it barely right there. So, once we hit 1,000, make sure you're subscribing. If y'all want to be in it, comment that you have subscribed to the channel. I'll be able to see. Once we hit 1,000, I'll do like a little randomizing raffle type thing, and whoever wins will get the Derrick Henry jersey. So, other than that, thanks for watching.